My sales were terrible the month of June, and July is not looking so good so far either. So if you're experiencing summer slowdown in your reselling business right now, just know that you're not alone and this will eventually pass. Hopefully by about August, sales will start to pick up. Even with a terrible month though, I did have some great, amazing sales. So let's go ahead and lighten up the mood right now and get started with some noteworthy sales of the month. In this section, I'm going to talk about some brands that sold this past month that were totally new to me, or some that I've sold but very sparingly in the past. We're starting off with an eBay sale. It was these OTBT braided wedge platform sandals. These sold for $28 plus shipping. Buyer always pays shipping on my eBay orders unless I'm trying to move the item because it's been sitting around for so long. Then I will offer free shipping, but other than that, buyers are paying for shipping. This pair of wedges was listed for 4 days. This is only my second time finding this brand. OTBT stands for Off the Beaten Track, and they are known for making high quality comfort shoes for mostly women. The first time I sold a pair by this brand, it didn't do as well. It was a pair of sandals that went on to sale for $19. Maybe I underpriced them because I didn't know much about the brand, but I am hopeful that I will continue to find it in the future so I can keep experimenting with it and come to know what does good and what doesn't. It seems to be a great selling brand overall. The next sale is by a brand that I've also only found one other time, and it also sold on eBay. And I'm sure I'm going to say this brand all the way wrong, so I'll make sure to leave some text here on the side of the screen so that you can see how it's spelled. But it's something like El Amor des Pieds, and there were some Mary Jane comfort shoes that sold for $28.80. and these were listed for 19 days. I was kind of scared to pick up this pair of shoes because the other time that I did sell these, they sat around for a very long time. But they did have slight damage on the back of the heel. There were some red suede ballet flats, and the size wasn't a good one either. These were a good size at a size 8.5. The metallic color was beautiful as well, and then the shoe overall looked in great condition. So that's why I decided to go ahead and give it a go, and thankfully they did not take that long to sell this time. And this is a brand that I would definitely pick up in the future if I see it again, and if it's in great condition again, great size, and all of those things. Next one is not only my first time selling the brand, it's my first time hearing about it, and it's also my very first time selling sunglasses. It was these Quay Australia X J-Lo pearl white cat eye mirrored sunglasses. They sold on Poshmark for a total of $40, and they sold in just 1 day. This sale right here checked many boxes. It was a noteworthy brand, it was a fast seller, it was a good profitable brand as well. So if you're at your thrift store and you see sunglasses behind their glass cases and you see this brand, go ahead and look into it because it could be very profitable. That is something that I never do. Usually my thrift stores are way too busy for me to be asking to see things behind the counter, especially now that I mostly focus on shoes. I don't even go by those sections, but I'm guessing there's profitable things there too. I actually got this pair of sunglasses in a flip lot, so I did not actually go out and purchase them. I recently posted a full video tutorial on flip, so if you'd like to know what flip is, how it works, and how you can use it to get a hold of things to resell online, go ahead and check out the video that I will leave linked right here and also in the description below. The next noteworthy brand is also an item that I got from a flip lot. This is an eBay sale, and it was these pair of Vask outdoor hiking boots. These did really good. They sold for $78 in just 26 days. They did really well, mainly because they were new. Well, they were new with flaws by the shoelaces, they did have a small flaw. I went ahead and noted that, and they still ended up doing really well. Before receiving this pair of boots in a flip-flop, I had never heard of this brand before, and that is one thing I really like about sourcing on Flip. You get to learn about new brands, and I get to sell brands that I may have never found in my area, because depending on where you live, you'll find certain brands more or less of. So those were a few of the noteworthy brands that sold last month. But now let's move on to some that are not as noteworthy, but they did sell for high prices. So these are still great brands and items to resell. First on the list, we have these Keen outdoor slip-on loafer shoes. These sold for $46 on Poshmark, and they took a total of 87 days to sell. That is not the best of days. 86 days is a pretty long time, but that $46 selling price makes it worth it at least a little bit. And even then, Keen is still one of my favorite brands to sell during the summer. In the winter too, there are certain styles that do really well, but especially during the summer, I love finding and selling this brand. I sell lots of hiking boots and water sandals by them. This is one of the brands I talked about in my last video called 20 shoe brands every new reseller should know. So if you'd like to know more brands that are good selling profitable brands, go ahead and check out that video. I will also leave that one linked down in the description. Next up is another Poshmark sale, and it was these Ariat wedge ankle booties. These sold for $48 and took a total of 42 days to sell. $48 for a pair of Ariat boots is on the lower end. I usually can sell them for a lot more than this, but then again, the Ariat boots that I usually sell are mid-calf, cowgirl, embroidered type boots. So this price point, $48 for a wedge booty, is still really good. And this is another item that I got in a flip lot that went on to do really well, but not everything that I get in this flip lot to do well. As you'll see when we get to the section where we talk about some of the flops of the month, some of these flip items don't do as well. Next high price sale were these Coach Beverly mid-calf boots. They sold on Mercari for $48, and these were listed for quite a while. They took a total of 131 days to sell. That is normal when it comes to boots during the spring and summer. They are going to take a little bit longer to sell. Every once in a while you'll have a fast seller, but for the most part they sell slower than they do during the fall and winter. I do still pick them up and go ahead and list them. That way when fall and winter comes around, my closet will be stocked up with those items, because at those times these kind of boots literally fly off the shelf. On eBay this time, we have these Nike Air Force Ones athletic low top sneakers. These here sold for $59.71, and they took a total of 75 days to sell. I really don't know too much about men's athletic shoes. I don't come across them too much. Other people end up getting them before I get to the thrift store, so they're usually kind of sparse when I get there. But I do know that Air Force Ones usually sell for about $45 or more, depending on the colorway that you end up getting. This color combination, in my opinion, was not the best, so that is why I was debating whether to pick them up or not when I saw them at the thrift store. In the end, I just decided to go for it. I did have to sit on them for a little bit, but not too long. So in the end, it ended up doing okay. And for these type of Air Force shoes, I usually pay about $20 or more. And one of the highest price sales of all in the month of June was on eBay, and there were these pair of Dr. Martens black patent leather lace-up Oxford shoes. These here sold for $65, and they were listed for 57 days. I initially listed this pair of shoes for $109, $115. So I came way down accepting this $65 offer on eBay. But I'd been getting lowballed on these pair of shoes for a while, and when I saw this decent offer of $65, I thought, why not? It's time to let these go. They've been sitting for a while, and I paid very little for these. So in the end, the profit was still outstanding. As many of you know, I go off of average cost of goods. So I don't usually remember exactly how much I paid for these shoes I pick up, but these here I do remember because I was very surprised at how low they were priced at the thrift store. These, like new Doc Martens, were only priced at $4. Someone must have made a mistake, but I'm so glad I came across them and was able to flip them for a good profit. This next set of sales are some of the fastest items that sold in the month of June. Some of these flipped within a day, and some of them flipped the same day they were listed. The first ones were these Crocs Dual Comfort thong sandals that sold on Poshmark for a total of $35, and they took only one day to sell. I don't have too much experience with this brand. I've been slowly experimenting with it as of lately. The problem with this brand for me is that the thrift stores that I go to usually overvalue this like crazy. They will mark them up at like $24, so when it's half off day they end up being $12, sometimes $15, and that's still pretty high. Every once in a while I will come across a pair that must have slipped the cracks and it ends up being priced at $6, $7, or $8, so those are usually the ones I go for. And even then I try to be very selective with the ones I do pick up. I try to stick to those that have lots of interesting features. Like these here, they had embellishments all over the straps, lots of shiny rhinestones, and they were also that platform style that seems to be really popular. So for those reasons I went ahead and picked these up, and they actually sold for a lot more than I expected them to. Next up is also a Poshmark sale, and it was these Franco Sarto slip-on preppy loafer shoes. These here sold for $29, and again they also took just one day to sell. Franco Sarto is another brand that made it in the list of that video I mentioned earlier, the 20 shoe brands resellers should know. I find it a lot in my thrift stores. There's so much of it, and it's always reasonably priced. It's a consistent seller for me month after month, so for those reasons I consider Franco Sarto to be one of my bread and butter brands. But that is not the case for this next brand. These sold on Poshmark as well, and it was these pair of Jessica Simpson ankle strap platform high heels. These here sold for $25, also in just one day. I've never picked up this brand before, or if I have, it was based on consignment. Other people gave me their items to sell for them, which was basically the case with these Jessica Simpson heels. These came in a flip lot. When I choose lots on flip, I try to get those that have brands that I'm familiar with, brands that I would pick up normally anyway. But if there's one or two brands in there that I don't usually pick up, I'm okay with it. I still go ahead and get them because I know that not all flip lots are going to be home runs full of things that sell well. This next brand we're going to talk about, I almost put it in the noteworthy section because I feel that it's not talked about a lot, but it did sell the same day that it was listed, so I felt like it was more fitting to put it here in the fast sales section. And it was these pair of Naughty Monkey distress studded western ankle boots. These sold on Poshmark for $35, and they sold within hours of posting. I used to skip this brand so much because I just thought it wasn't worth much. I wouldn't even do comps or anything, but I've come to learn that this brand can actually do really well. This brand and the brand not rated look like they're not worth much. They remind me of each other, but they both do okay. They make a lot of this kind of footwear, western fashion boots and shoes with lots of straps, buckles, and embellishments. Okay, it's time to talk about some of the flops of the month because it's also good to know what brands and items not to pick up. And we're starting the list off with this, the Sack woven knitted handbag. It sold on eBay for a total of just $11, and it took 33 days to sell. This bag came in a large flip lot full of handbags. Earlier I mentioned how I try to stick with those lots that have only a few brands I don't really want to sell, but I will go ahead and get it anyway just so that I can sell the rest of the items in that lot. Well, that is not the case with this flip lot. I feel like this was a total disaster. For one, this was pretty large. As I said, there was a total of 30 handbags in this lot, and I've come to learn that I really don't like dealing with huge lots like that. A lot of the bags in there had some wear and tear that I really did not feel comfortable posting, but I had to because the bags were in my hands already, and there wasn't just one or two brands that I don't normally sell. There was a bunch of them. But you live and you learn. I had to go through some bad lots to learn how to source better on Flip. So nowadays I stick to lots with about 10 items or less for the most part. I try to read the fine print where it shows what condition the items are in. If it's fair, I don't really like to get it. I like it to be in good, like new, or new with tags. So I try to be very careful about that. And also that rule of sticking to lots with one or two items that I don't normally sell. I'm trying to stick by that as much as possible and not deviating from it, even if the rest of the items are outstanding. Moving along, on Poshmark we had these Merrell Kids water sandals that sold for $16. These here took a total of 278 days. Merrell is another brand that made it to that list in that video that I keep mentioning, the 20 shoe brands video. But as you can see, not everything that's a Bolo brand or a good brand to pick up will turn out that way. Certain items will do good by that brand and certain ones won't. And that's why I mentioned in that video that you should always still do your research. Something that I've come to accept lately is that I don't really do that well with kids shoes. So most of the time I'm avoiding that section altogether. I've been sticking to mostly women's shoes and some men. Another brand that I talked about in that video that I keep referencing is Torrid. Torrid shoes do well for me, but their clothing, that's a different story. I feel like Torrid clothing has gone downhill in the reselling market over about the past year. And to illustrate, I have these Torrid super skinny casual plus size jeans that sold on Mercari for $19. But I did have free shipping, so it came out of my pocket. I paid a total of $8.82 in shipping. After it was all said and done, my final profit was about $1.73. And to top it all off, these pair of jeans were listed for 303 days. Torrid jeans was a great seller for me in the past. I would pick them up all the time and they would sell very quickly, not for too much, but they were a fast turnaround. I would even pick up dresses, skirts, and all kinds of items by Torrid. A lot of them would do well, but now I'm doing what I can to get rid of these items, including giving free shipping, even if it means that in the end I'm only gonna end up with a few dollars in profit. I just want all of those items out of my inventory. And the same can be said for this next brand, which sold on Poshmark. It was the 7 for All Mankind low-rise flare jeans. They sold for $16 and they were listed for 390 days. Like Torrid, this brand has gone downhill for me, but I feel like this brand has been doing so for way longer than Torrid. Even when I picked up these jeans, I knew that already. I knew that it was a slow seller, that it wasn't doing good as of lately, but I decided to still pick it up because they were low rise and they were a flare leg and those features were popular at the moment, so I thought they would do okay. But they just didn't. Alright, those were some of the highlights and lowlights of the month. Now let's talk total sales numbers. In the month of June, I sold a total of $4,499. The cost of goods for everything that sold was $1,168. After after those cost of goods that I just mentioned and all platform fees, shipping fees, discounts, all of that, my final profit was $1,954. That's not the worst month of the year 2023, but it is definitely not the best. I listed a total of 179 items in the month of June, which is about 5 to 6 a day. A total of 148 items ended up selling, so that's about 4 to 5 sales a day. The average selling price is still pretty good at $30.40, and my average cost of goods for everything that sold was $7.90. Now let's break those numbers down by individual platforms. On Poshmark, I sold a total of $2,207. eBay shot up a little bit from last month. I sold a total of $1,846. And Mercari took a slight plunge. There I had a total of $446 in sales. Overall, it was not a good month in my reselling business. Those numbers are pretty discouraging, but I just keep reminding myself that it will eventually be over. Summer will pass, and then we'll get into the good times in fall and winter. At least that's what I'm really hoping for. In the comments below, let me know, have your sales been slow too, or have you managed to maintain your sales during the summer slowdown? I'd love to know. Let's chat about it down in the comments. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, I will leave a playlist right here filled with more reselling income reports. And that's all for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.